What's up, you guys? I'm Patrick of CoasterFanatics, and today I'm bringing you part 1 of my list of the top 20 steel coasters 2018 edition. This video covers coasters 20 through 11. Last year I did a top 10, but as most of you know, I rode a lot of new roller coasters this past summer, so it's hard to narrow it down to just 10. The list only features roller coasters that I've been on, which includes 7 B&Ms, 7 Intamins, 2 Morgans, 2 RMCs, 1 Giovanola, and 1 Gerstlauer. Find out which coasters made the cut starting now. Kicking off the list in the number 20 spot, I have Intimidator 305, the Intamin Giga Coaster at King's Dominion. Yep, I did it. I put Intimidator 305 dead last. That being said, there are no bad coasters on this list. I just happen to prefer 19 others. This is the 3rd Giga Coaster I've been on, and even though I only rode it once, it's definitely a memorable experience. Intimidator 305 is one of the most intense roller coasters ever built. It's nearly impossible to not gray out on that first turn after the drop. Compared to other Giga coasters, Intimidator stays low to the ground nearly the whole ride. It features endless high-speed overbank turns with rapid transitions and some of the craziest laterals you'll ever experience. It's because of these laterals that Intimidator 305 uses over-the-shoulder restraints instead of a lap bar. I was a huge NASCAR fan growing up, so I love the Dale Earnhardt theme. It's definitely a thrill-seeker's coaster. The average person isn't going to like the intense G-force this coaster puts out, which is why it typically isn't going to rank high on many lists. Still, I'm looking forward to getting more rides on Intimidator 305. It could move up in the rankings in next year's list. Coming in at number 19, I have the new Texas Giant, the original RMC hybrid conversion at Six Flags Over Texas. This is another coaster I only got to ride once because of crowds, so it definitely has room to move up in the rankings at some point. This is where it all started for Rocky Mountain Construction, and they haven't looked back since. I'd also call it the most unique iBox conversion since it has no inversions at all. Instead, New Texas Giant relies solely on overbank turns and lots of little airtime moments. Part of me missed the inversions, but at the same time it's refreshing to have a different feel on an RMC. The trains, which are made by Gerstlauer, are instantly recognizable since they look just like a 60s Cadillac DeVille, with bullhorns on the front. The ride features great airtime with rapid transitions, just one element after another. With the exception of the mid-course brake run, you won't find any straight track on this coaster. I used to look at this thing and think it was overrated, but it's definitely one of the better coasters in the entire Six Flags chain. It's just a long and wild ride that everyone needs to experience at least once in their life. Coming in at number 18, I have the Monster, the Gerstlauer Infinity Coaster at Adventureland. Now this was a coaster that really surprised me. I had a blast riding this thing this past summer. It's easily the best Gerstlauer in the United States in my opinion. I just love the straight down drop on this thing. The inversions have excellent hang time, especially the vertical loop that almost feels like a zero-G stall seen on RMC coasters. Of course, what makes this coaster special is its night ride. The Monster has the best light package I've ever seen on a roller coaster. It features this awesome chasing light system that follows the train throughout the course of the ride. It's very unique and awesome to watch from the ground. Overall, it's a super underrated coaster in my opinion. Ranking in the number 17 spot, I have Titan, the Giovanola Hypercoaster at Six Flags Over Texas. A lot of people don't like the twister layout on this thing, but I love it. Like Intimidator 305, Titan is one of the more intense roller coasters I've ever been on. The mid-course brake run brings the train to nearly a complete stop. Even with that, the helix that comes after is super intense. I could only imagine how this coaster would be without the brake run. People would probably show up to the station unconscious. The trains are very aggressive looking and have this spoiler in the front of them that looks awesome. To me, Titan is just a nice change of pace compared to the other hypercoasters that feature an out and back layout. It's also different since there isn't much airtime at all. Speed and intensity is what Titan is all about, and it's great. Definitely the best coaster at Six Flags Over Texas, at least in my opinion. Number 16 may surprise a lot of you, and that's the Superman Krypton coaster, my favorite B&M floorless coaster at Six Flags Fiesta, Texas. This was another coaster that really surprised me. One of the more unique B&Ms I've been on considering its location. Superman is a very well engineered coaster because it takes advantage of the quarry walls. It starts off with a nice curved drop off the wall, followed by a vertical loop right into a helix, and then a second drop off the wall. It's just a great design and is very smooth as well. Probably the smoothest floorless coaster I've ever been on. The rest of the ride is like most other floorless coasters in the Six Flags chain with a Cobra roll, a zero-G roll, and of course interlocking corkscrews. I for sure don't like the generic DC Universe Superman name, but at least this one is different since it's called the Krypton coaster. Overall, I'd say it's the second best roller coaster at Six Flags Fiesta, Texas, with their number 1 showing up later on this list. Kicking off the top 15, I have Raging Bull, the B&M Hypercoaster at Six Flags Great America. Yeah, I know this one isn't the popular opinion at all, which is understandable. I know it doesn't have the best airtime, but like I've said many times before on this channel, it's not all about the airtime. To be honest, this is more of a sentimental pick since Raging Bull is one of the first really big coasters I ever rode. After all, it is at my home park, so I've been on it many times. Just like Titan at Six Flags Over Texas, I really do enjoy the compact twister layout on Raging Bull. Once again, not much airtime, but I do love the twists and turns on this coaster, especially after the mid-course brake run, where the track really hugs the ground. One of my favorite track colors on any B&M, I think, as well. The orange spine with the black tubing look kinda rustic, and I really haven't seen it on any other B&M. Is it the best hypercoaster? No, but I do think it gets hated on a little more than it deserves. At least it's more unique than the other B&M hypers. I say keep an open mind and give it a try. If there's one thing I learned last year, it's that the popular opinion amongst enthusiasts isn't always right. Speaking of an unpopular opinion, I have Mamba at number 14, the Morgan Hypercoaster at Worlds of Fun. Even though its sister coaster called Steel Force at Dorney Park gets more love, I found Mamba to be way better. This was one of the most surprising coasters I got to ride in 2017. I thought this thing was going to be rough, but it turns out it is just as smooth as a B&M, if not smoother. The ride features a great first and second drop, followed by a massive 580-degree helix. From there, you hit the mid-course brake run, and this is why it's better than Steel Force. I felt the brakes weren't as strong, and as a result, Mamba gets more speed through the best part of the ride, and that's the 5 camelback hills. These hills give some of the best floater airtime found on any steel coaster. I mean, you are out of your seat the whole time on these hills, and it's fantastic. In a world where people praise Magnum XL 200, I say it should be Mamba we're talking about. It does all the same things better and more comfortable on top of it. In the number 13 spot, I have Iron Rattler, the RMC hybrid coaster at Six Flags Fiesta, Texas. This, in my opinion, is the best RMC iBox conversion to date. Of course, we have 3 more opening in 2018, one in which is pretty much guaranteed to be better than Iron Rattler. Still, this is a fantastic coaster. Just like Superman that I mentioned before, Iron Rattler features 2 awesome drops off the quarry wall. The first is great because the train just barely creeps over the lift hill and just kind of sits there for a few seconds. The rest of the ride features overbank turns, a zero-G roll, and several airtime moments. The second drop off the wall is probably my favorite since it hugs the wall and dives right into a tunnel which leads into the final brake run. I do wish Iron Rattler was a little longer, but I still thought it was an amazing ride. Very interesting looking trains as well with the big rattlesnake on the very front. Best steel coaster in Texas in my opinion. Ranking in the number 12 spot, I have Phantom's Revenge, the Morgan Hypercoaster at Kennywood. This was definitely a bucket list coaster for me, and I thought it was fantastic despite it being a shorter ride than other hypercoasters. Morgan just did an incredible job retracking this thing. I mean, it could have easily been scrapped, and here it is today, one of the best ranked steel coasters in the United States. The second drop on this thing, in my opinion, is the best drop on any steel coaster I've been on. It drops you right into a valley and passes over and through the structure of Thunderbolt. It's just very unique and super thrilling. The rest of the ride features several high-speed turns and even some tunnels. It also has some camelback hills that I found to be a little on the rough side, but still provided some great airtime. Once again, it's just a very unique coaster. I mean, you won't find anything else like it here in the United States. Overall, definitely the best roller coaster at Kennywood. Finishing off part 1 of this list in the number 11 spot is Banshee, the B&M inverted coaster at Kings Island. In my opinion, most inverts feel the same, but Banshee is different since it's the newest generation from B&M. It features a wider track design and has the awesome B&M vest restraint that I love. I'd say it is one of the smoothest coasters they've ever built. You can see in the POV my head moves very little traveling through the inversions. Very interesting layout with the vertical loop wrapping around the lift hill, and the color scheme really pops with the purple track and blue supports. Banshee also features the best logo of any roller coaster I've ever seen. Those of you who have been to Kings Island know what I'm talking about. The thing just looks awesome with the tombstones, the fog, and of course you can't forget the Banshee screams as you crest over the top of the lift hill. It's overall one of the best B&Ms built in the last few years. So there you have it, you guys. That was part 1 of my list of the top 20 steel coasters. Want to find out which coasters make the top 10? Find out in tomorrow's video. I hope you all enjoyed part 1 of my list. If you did, please smash that like button. Do leave your thoughts in the comment section. If you're new around here, please subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Thanks for watching, you guys. Have a good one. I'll catch you all on part 2 very, very soon.